Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
It is I, the one, the only. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sipar2. Joining me today is...
The Comics Kid 2099.
And the Geek for Fun.
Indeed. And today we're doing me and just homework with Batman. We're doing a review of a Batman movie trilogy that, like, I'm probably the only one that sees it as a trilogy. This is the Batman Unlimited films. As far as I know, this is all of them. They're available on Netflix at the moment of recording. So we're reviewing Batman Unlimited, Animal Instincts, Monster Mayhem, and Mechs and Mutants. So I guess before we get into this, what did you guys know, if anything, about Batman Unlimited going into this?
I had seen some of the designs before watching any of these, but I didn't know anything about, like, who did the voices or who did, like, you know, who was writing and directing. I didn't know any of that and didn't know really anything about the stories here either. So all I knew was, like, okay, you know, Dick looks like that. He's got the red and black instead of blue and black. You know, that was really all I knew.
Okay. Alfie, how about you?
So I've been familiar with the toy line from, like, just seeing it in store shelves, like little cousins and family members, like, playing with it occasionally. Is like, that's the big replacement Batman toy line from what I'm still aware. And then after that, I was just on YouTube, you see, like, clips in, like, your recommendation, but I never actually clicked on any because it just, like, the look of it just immediately kind of turned me off with its, like, its design sensibilities for some characters. So yeah, that was, I had a cursory knowledge of it, but like Ruben, I had no idea of the plot, had certainly no idea of the setting, which really surprised me. And basically I did have no idea there were movies. I thought it was just a TV show, which it is.
Well, like, the thing is, I'm not aware that it is a TV show. From what I understand, it's a YouTube series that's, like, it's actually kind of brilliant because you got the scar of Batman and Robin that I think will always exist of, let's make a movie a toy commercial. And it's just this really big contrived scene after contrived scene to, like, okay, now Batman's going to dress in this silver and black costume and all this stuff just so we can sell that toy. That's one of the many problems with that film, maybe one of the most significant. But from what I understand, I watched all of it. I think Batman Unlimited, outside of these movies, is basically a silent cartoon toy commercial. Where, like, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. It's 2 seasons. And it'll just be Batman in a situation, and occasionally he pulls out a gadget or wears a special costume that's designed to help him defeat this bad guy, or the toy is the bad guy. Like, that's just kind of what it is. And it doesn't, like, it's actually kind of smart about it because it doesn't say, like, in the bottom, oh, go buy this toy now. It just, like, lets it be its own thing. And it's kind of the strength of it, I feel, is that they're just like, yeah, you know, like, I worked at Goodwill for years. I'm not the biggest Batman the Animated Series fan, but I remember seeing all these Batman toys based on the aesthetic of animated series, but, like, there'd be camouflage Batman and, like, yellow suit Batman and just all these things that, like, Kevin Conroy Batman would never be caught dead in that. I'm sorry. And so Batman Unlimited is actually kind of smart because it's like, oh yeah, if we're going to make a toy of it, it'll be in the cartoon, and therefore the kids will want it, you know, instinctively. which is kind of a neat aesthetic to do it with. And so I'd seen like an episode or two, and like I was a little surprised that they were basically silent. But again, that's actually pretty smart because then it's got worldwide marketable appeal in the cartoons. And I don't know, it's actually you got to respect the hustle, I guess, is kind of what I'm coming down to on it.
Mm-hmm. At least it's honest about what it is, and it kind of embraces that.
Yeah. I mean, it's cute, it's fun. I can kind of put myself as a kid back in the shoes and like thinking how cool some of that stuff is. Like I remember playing with like Dragon Ball Z figures, and I had a figure named Vegito, and it was Vegito, but it was like years before Vegito was revealed in the show for my American eyes. And so the moment that happened, it was like, oh my god, I have that toy. And so I kind of feel it's doing a similar thing for kids with Batman. That's just neat. And so it's kind of trippy to go, because I watched the movies just because they're on Netflix and it was something to do. It's kind of trippy to go back and watch the cartoon after these, to be honest, because like they're just straight reusing everything. That like there's obviously new animation and new things used here and there, but like 90% of it they're just reusing all the elements that they made for the cartoon shorts. It's kind of crazy. But all that stuff aside, I'm just generally curious. What did you guys think of these movies?
You go ahead, Alfie.
All right, breaking formula here. So I guess because I feel like I'll give you like my experience because I had kind of a different reaction to all three. I think all three of them are kind of different levels of quality, or like different approaches at least. So when I started with the first one, I was initially kind of like surprised because I was like, okay, Batman's in a black and red costume in like the most futuristic Gotham I've even seen outside of Beyond. Is this a Beyond series? Like, I legitimately felt like the first 10 minutes, I was like, is this a Beyond spin-off? Like, is Terry McGinnis going to show up? What the fuck is happening? But then obviously it's not. It's just very similar elements to that. And then that first film kind of went by, and I was like, yeah, okay, that was fine. Couldn't see myself enjoying the other two. Load up the second one. Recognize the voice of the Joker as Troy Baker. Like that one a lot more. I think that one kind of found its footing a bit more. And then by the third one, it was so over the top and crazy. I was just like, yeah, you know what? If I was like little 10-year-old Alfie and this was on alongside the Batman, I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Batman's got like a bow and arrow on his arm with the Green Arrow mech. So yeah, I first one, it was warmed up on me as the other two came on. But yeah, overall, I thought these were fine. I thought these were pretty good, especially considering like generally how children's animation has been dumbed down comparatively to how it is before, because it is so toy-centric and so in your face. I thought this was more of a classical approach, as much as you can say that, more like a 2005-ish cartoon that came out, and I appreciated that.
Okay. Ruben, how about you?
Well, I think you guys have kind of hit on the head some of the things that I felt about it, but it sounds like while we're in agreement about what these movies did, I think you guys liked these aspects and I did not. These felt like toy commercials, and I didn't care for that. It sounded like you guys kind of liked it a little bit more. And like you were saying, Alfie, that if you were 10 years old, you would be just all over it. And I think I was feeling the same way. Like this, if I was in the demographic this is targeting, I would be all over this, but I'm not part of the demographic, and so I actually did not enjoy these very much.
Okay. And see, it's interesting for me because I guess I get it, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like ever since The Dark Knight, we've spent so much time with like this grim, dark, very serious take on Batman that like so rarely gets the refreshing like lighter takes. So you got like your things that happen in between there. You got your like Brave and the Bolds and stuff like that pops up. But by and large, a lot of things are really still trying to capture that same tone. And I can't begrudge it because that tone is what initially attracted me to Batman and thus to comics. But For me, there's something just so pure and fun and almost a little Silver Age-ish about this. In like a really fun, cool, kooky kind of way. Like it's funny to me, Alfie, that you think the first movie is kind of the weakest, because that's still kind of my favorite. Like, if I had to rank them, I'd go probably 1, 2, 3, honestly. Because the first two do a thing that's just, yeah, it's totally like, buy this line of the toys. But at the same time, it's really fun to me, and it's not something I feel we do very often anymore, especially in the comics, which is like the gangs with a theme. And so, like, Animal Instincts is like, oh yeah, they're all like creature people. That's fun. And then you have the Monsters and Mayhem, and it's like, yeah, they're all like horror-ish or monstery, except for the Joker. So it just like it was fun in that sense. It just kind of worked in that sense. By the time you get to like Mutants and Mayhem, I was like, okay, yeah, it's a kaiju. It's a kaiju mech fight. It's whatever. Though that one has, I think. This might sound crazy, though. Ruben, I guess I'm most interested in what your take on this is. You might have been just a little too burnt out on it by the time it got to this point, but like, Mutants and Mayhem probably has one of the greatest Two-Face moments ever in cartoons, movies, TV, comic books. It was so good to me when Penguin is breaking people out of Arkham, and he stops at Harvey's cell and is like, do you want to join the party? And he flips the coin and it comes up the good side. He says, I don't deserve to be in here. Or he says, I deserve to be in here. I thought that was so fucking good. Like, I legit think that someone's been wanting to be a Batman writer for the longest time, and they've, like, had that scene ready in their back pocket, and this was just their only chance to ever use it. I got such a kick out of that one.
It reminded me of there was in the early 2000s. It was a comic book set in the DCAU. I don't remember what it was called, but for some reason Batman was in Arkham fighting a whole bunch of bad guys, and Two-Face ended up helping Batman because he had flipped the coin and it ended up good side up. It reminded me of that, which I've always liked it whenever Two-Face is actually like true to his gimmick. I always hate it whenever and I see this a lot more than I should, where he flips his coin and it's like, oh, it's the good side, but twist ending, I'm actually gonna do something bad anyway. Like I've never, so yeah, I was okay with that.
Yeah, I really like that. It's right up there with Jim Gordon in No Man's Land saying that I deserve the right to an attorney, and Two-Face being like, all right, fine, who do you want to represent you? He's like, Harvey Dent. And then Two-Face and Harvey Dent argue with each other about whether or not Gordon's guilty. And it's the coolest shit. I love how silly and goofy that gimmick can get. And that's kind of the appeal of just the whole thing to me is this is kind of a Batman thing that's really not ashamed to embrace some of the gimmicky funness that has been in Batman's world for the last 80 years or so, but it's also like it's also presenting it in a way that's like pretty straightforward, and that makes it kind of cool. It's like, yeah, this is gimmicky shit, but it's still cool Batman, so yeah, cool gimmicky Batman.
And the moment you give Batman the blue and the yellow oval of the suit, like, just, yeah, that is instantly star points for me, no matter how bad or anything the adaptation is. And I know, I feel really, the animators here did the best job they could with the designs they were given, because it's obvious from the amount of detail and everything is they were given the toys first and then they had to put them into animation, which, for anyone who knows anything animation, is yikes. That is not a good way to get something that moves right. But they did a good job here for the most part. But the fact that Batman's color scheme is the blue and the gray is just instantly gives this more bonus and enjoyable for me to look at than, like, if this, I wouldn't rate this as highly if it was black and gray.
The blue and gray is fun. It's got the yellow outline, kind of like the who was it? It was, Greg Capullo did that redesign right at the tail end of New 52, and that carried through to King's Run and Rebirth for quite a while. Yeah, that stuff is pretty cool and pretty fun. Honestly, I don't mind the designs that much. The thing design-wise that kind of always made this stand out to me, and I guess the thing that made me remember that it existed, is the fact that we got Red Robin running around here, which is just... I don't know, I was never expecting to see Red Robin animated, to be honest with you.
Right, and I had the weirdest thing with that until the third movie, because the whole time I'm just sitting here questioning, why is he Red Robin? He's clearly just Robin. They only call him Robin. he acts like Robin. He's still training with the Robin. Why is he Red Robin? And then we introduce Damien in the third movie, and then we're like, okay, they mentioned that, but it really feels to me like they just wanted to use it, I don't know, so they could have an excuse to have a different toy, so they can make Robin and Red Robin 2 toys to sell, rather than just having one Robin, because there's not much difference. It just felt really weird, like, because I said, oh, he's Tim Drake as Red Robin. Where's actual Robin? Don't get him till the third fucking film, so I'm just expecting him for like 2 films. Like, this is a really weird universe, but then questions were answered.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost weird because if not for the Penguin continuity nod, there would be almost no reason that you'd need to watch these movies in any certain order, you know? Mm-hmm. Everything's got kind of that timeless feel to it, which is kind of fun. So I guess I kind of want to go back to some more about the movies themselves, though. Ruben, did one of these work better for you than any of the others?
I guess the third one, because there's an actual attempt at a character arc, but it's still not, it's not a movie I will ever watch again.
Okay. And then I'm assuming that's the Mr. Freeze character?
Yeah, and then also, like, Damien, I mean, you guys like Damien. I like Damien okay. You guys like him a lot more than I do. I don't think that this guy acts like Damien very much.
No, he's Damien in name only. He's Jason.
Okay,
Todd.
yeah. He calls Alfred Pennyworth. Like, he says, oh, hey, Pennyworth. That's about it. He doesn't have the arrogance that Damien has in the comics. But, you know, even though he is not a faithful adaptation of the character of Damien, there's at least an attempt of, let's have a character go through something in this movie. So he's like, oh, Batman, I'm not good enough for Batman. And then it lays it on pretty thick to the point where I was getting kind of tired of it about 10 minutes into the movie, but at least we are getting to see something there. All the others are just like, hey, we got a bunch of wacky villains teaming up, and then let's fight them. And that was what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. And I can't deny that, but again, that was what Batman comics were for like 60 years. Is, okay, what wacky villain is he going to fight this week? That's just kind of what it was. And I'm glad we've moved on from that, by and large, but there are occasions where it's really nice and it feels refreshing to just go back to that kind of thing without having to tie it into, you know, deeper narrative storytelling that's all about, you know, driving the characters and making some big point. Because as much as I love Morrison's run and as much as I love King's run and as mistake-ridden as Snyder's run was on Batman, can we just stop making gigantic points about who Batman is and just tell goddamn Batman stories? Is that so much to ask for? The character has been through a lot since 2006. That's like 10 years of defining Batman. And it's getting a bit much for me. So sometimes it's nice to have kind of these just one-off fun little adventures that are really fun, you know, and that's kind of what I enjoyed about it.
Well, I mean, like, there's that problem, but I'd still give you it's better than the Superman Wonder Woman 10 years of being rebooted.
No, true. At least there's a direction with Batman as opposed to Wonder Woman. Now she has pants and a new origin to justify the pants. It was, I mean, seriously, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, no, you're definitely right there. I will give you that. I guess there is some part of me that's just complaining about what is a good problem to have. But I don't know. It's just the reason I want to talk about these is because I had fun and it was refreshing.
Let me ask you this, Ian.
Okay.
Have you ever watched the JOA Trapped in Time movie?
No, that's one that I've like heard about a lot, but I've just never gotten around to.
You would probably like it. It's also a very it's I enjoyed it. It's about this level of like maturity. If that says anything, like it's I had a really good time with that movie. I think, I mean, it feels less like a toy commercial than these do. But I think if you like these, you would probably like that movie.
Okay. And I mean, I tend to like a lot more of the all ages, lighthearted stuff that DC's been putting out because, like, I really enjoyed these. The DC Lego movies are like legit good. Again, they're very much toy commercials, but like we got a Lego Flash movie, and as far as I can tell, that's the only Flash movie we'll ever get. So enjoy it. It ain't bad. It's fun. It's a little on the nose, but hey. So no, I do tend to enjoy DC's more all age stuff. I mean, there's Batman Hush is out right now, or it's coming out in a week or something, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll suffer through watching that. It's not going to be good animation. It's not a good story, so what's even the point? I'm a little more interested in Batman Ninja Turtles just because that was a thing I never thought would happen. But
Did you ever read the Batman Ninja Turtles comics?
No, I never did. I know, isn't the movie just a straight out adaptation of the first volume?
I think so.
Okay.
And then there's one that's set in it's an animated. There's a comic that's tying in the Batman from the DCAU with the Turtles from one of the cartoon universes also. So there's multiple Batman Ninja Turtle crossovers.
I'm sure one of you has have to have seen the infamous panel with that, where it's just like Batman and Raphael, and Batman says, "Raphael, this is the alley where my parents died."
Oh no, I have not seen that. That's really funny that they went there.
It's just so grim, and like he's in the rain, and like Raphael's just like standing next to him, this fucking giant turtle.
Oh man,
Love it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So no, you're right.
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of Hush, I did not expect to see him in the third movie when Penguin is going breaking people out of Arkham, and he's got. I love, and I'm being 100% serious here. I love when Arkham Asylum shows supervillains in their full-blown supervillain costumes. Like, nobody thought to take the bandages off of Tommy Elliott and the trench coat. He's just in his cell, full supervillain garb. I love that so much about Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, like it's even funnier when they try to justify it. You know,
but it's like, oh, it will break their psyche if we take their costumes off. So let's leave their costumes on, like they did in the Batman animated series where Batman's in Arkham.
Yeah, that shit's just hilarious. You know, I really love the Joker blogs. They really have to stretch to justify why he's wearing makeup the whole time. And I don't even care, because at one point Scarecrow walks into the lunchroom and tries to eat a sandwich with the mask on, and it's goddamn the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Just he's looking at it and he just can't figure it out. He's like, maybe if I do this. But like, you're right. It is such a trope of, especially this stuff of we've got to sell the toys, plus we don't want to spend the money to like design a new mock-up or model for this character where they're not in their costume, so we've got to have them in their costume. And you know what? Kids don't care. They don't give a damn.
The scene killed me when, like, just when he runs past and Hush is just at the window. He's like, "I'm relevant, make me relevant," and they just walk past. Just made me. I don't know why. It just gave me really funny vibes because he just seems so just like, I want to be in the toy commercial. They don't have a Hush toy.
The Hush toy. Mommy, who's this villain? Oh, that fucker. Yeah, I don't know what you do with, like, because, alright, Joker obviously has had a wide range of interpretations over the years. Hush is like this psycho who's been obsessed with Bruce Wayne since childhood. I don't know what the kid-friendly take on Hush would be. To be fair, that being said, Beware the Batman did a kid-friendly version of Professor Pig, so maybe I'm just blowing smoke out my ass. I don't know. It's a whole thing. Again, these movies, I guess, are more fun to talk about just in a general sense as opposed to just a one-on-one thing. Let's get into the first movie a little bit more though, and kind of talk about some of the nitty-gritty with it. So one of the things I really liked about it again is we've got all these Batman villains and just general DC villains that are animal themed or whatever. So Killer Croc, Man Bat, Cheeto is there. Who fucking else was in that?
Silverback, who's a cyborg gorilla.
Yeah, is he an original character for this stuff? I've never heard of Silverback before.
I've never heard of him either, but like I just love that, like, and Cheetah acts like she doesn't, like, oh, he's a robot. Like, she's acting surprised. And then it's just like, he just takes the rest of his gorilla skin off and he's just a robot the rest of the movie.
Yep. So I was, I don't know, that one was fun with, like, the whole team-up thing. And, I mean, they fought him in the zoo. Like, that's just really entertaining to me. The Penguin's got such a devious scheme of destroying all of Gotham, and then 2 movies later he wants to rule all of Gotham. It's very hackney, but I don't know. I can't help but enjoy it. What are some thoughts you guys had in particular on the first movie, though?
So with the first movie, I feel like they did a good job immediately of, like, okay, this isn't the Batman world from, like, the get-go. It's, like, straight in, this is the very futuristic Gotham City, super high-tech, and it's going to be a very high-tech focus. Which, I mean, we've had so many different Batman adaptations over the years. I appreciate them trying something new. Again, we've had the Batman Beyond thing, but this is a very different kind of future. It's not like dystopian. It's just like, this is just what Gotham is like in the next 100 or 50 years or whatever. So I think that worked for, like, the aesthetic, to justify all the tech, like, Penguin users and everything. So I like that aspect about this film as well. I think it establishes the world a lot better. The introductions for all the different villains and stuff I thought were okay. I feel like out of all of them, this cast of villain is the least entertaining to me. Like, I don't think they play off each other as much. I don't think the voice actors are as talented or get as many good lines as like in the second one, like Grundy fucking kills me. He gets some good bits in that, but in this, like, again, I'd be hard pressed to give you any lines from, like, Man Bat. I wonder why. Yeah, I thought that was fine. The Penguin plot was very like Danny DeVito Penguin-esque, where, like, his modus operandi is less of I'm a mob boss, it's more so I'm a freak and I feel angry about that. But then in the third movie, he seemingly goes back to his comic book origins of, okay, I'm actually like a criminal overlord now, which I thought was strange, but fuck it, they do what they want. But no, I thought, again, a lot of that film I felt like was finding their footing. A lot of the tropes were first established is you get that it's almost uncanny how it's like at the exact same like 10-minute mark is Bruce Wayne goes to a party and meets Oliver Queen at the party, and then there's another Robin at the party, or like Dick Grayson at the party, and then hey Ollie, how are you? Oh Brucey, my man, how? Or you hear the penguin it's the exact same fucking scene 3 times in a row, but different lighting.
I will give the third movie this, and it may be this has something to do with why I liked it the best. It's not an exact copy. Like, the first and second movie feels like they took, like, the same script, and it's like, oh, crap, we can't use the same script. Okay, instead of Cheetah, let's change it to Silver Banshee. It feels like the same plot in the first 2 movies. Now, this third one has different stuff, but you're right. Like, it feels like they're hitting a lot of the same beats in the first 2 movies.
I think that's fair. I definitely do. It is a very formulaic thing, and I'm glad that they kind of got away from it. But at the same time, while the setup may be very similar between the first and the second, I feel like the climax and the resolution is just significantly different. I don't know, I was talking because Dan Jurgens in the Batman Beyond comic recently brought the Joker back, because it's abundantly clear to me that Dan Jurgens never watched Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. But like recently he brought the Joker back, and like there's this moment where Joker's like broadcasting and he says, you know, with that new suit and all the technology, it's just not fair. How's the Joker supposed to go up against Batman 2.0? Or no, actually, I take that back. He straight says Batman Beyond. And so he's like, and so I give you Joker Beyond. And he's like mutilated a henchman and put all these cybernetic implants and basically turned him kind of into like the Ed 209 from RoboCop. It's essentially what he did. And it's just like, I just remember reading that, I was like, that's kind of dumb, and it just doesn't really feel very Joker Beyond to me. Like, if you put the Joker in a futuristic setting, what exactly would he do? And this kind of answers that in a really fun and satisfying way to me by the time you get to the second movie. And he just steals everyone's technology and forces them to come to him for it, and makes himself king of Gotham. That's just a very Joker thing to me in a high-tech world. It is very much in that anarchist kind of bend that the character has, and I really did enjoy that side of it. So like that whole section of the movie is completely different, and then the way it resolves with everybody's favorite trope of the digital world being some kind of fantasy landscape is pretty fun, and I thought it was the best way they were ever going to be able to introduce the robot dinosaur toy.
No, say its true name, the B-Rex.
Oh my god, is that what it's actually called?
No, it's the Joker calls it in the movies. Like, it's your B-Rex, Batman. And I'm just like fucking crying. It's like, Batman's riding on a T-Rex, fighting Jokers on a gun. And it's just a fucking straight. They use the same shot twice. It's Batman holding a Gatling machine gun on a CGI T-Rex inside the sea in a fucking Jakku-esque wasteland. And it's the most hypest shit you'll ever see.
Fucking metal.
Whoa, this is what DC Metal should have been. Get Greg Capullo to draw the fucking Batman T-Rex.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know, it's kind of fun. Like the Batcave has had a robotic T-Rex in it for decades now. And yet now we've actually got the robotic T-Rex. It's a fucking mech that he can ride around in. And I'm like, that's fucking sweet, man. I can't help but kind of dig it. So I don't know, Alfie. Not Alfie. Sorry, I don't know, Ruben. Do you feel that the conclusion is significantly different between the first two films?
Yeah, it's different. I still feel like the overall structure of the first two is very similar, but yeah, they did change the ending a little bit there. I still think that with the first two movies, you've got like, okay, we've got this weird scheme with a whole bunch of villains who have no business working together, and then they're working together. And then with the third one, I think that one makes the most sense of like, okay, these villains are working together for this reason. Like the first one, it's these guys are working together because they're all animals, and that's basically it. And then the second one, it's like, okay, these guys are working together because, you know, reasons. And like, there's no reason really that Silver Banshee would work for the Joker. Like his plan is kind of weird and messed up, and like, I don't know, like I'm just gonna be a wet blanket on this podcast, I think. But yeah, they did change the ending of the second one a little bit, yeah.
Okay. And you know, you're right. I think the third one definitely goes in the most creative place amongst them, as far as the story goes. I just get a little soured on that one because that one is the most action heavy of the three. It's like, I guess I'm just not a kaiju guy or whatever, because like 10 minutes of giant robots fighting giant monsters and I'm just done with it, you know? Like that's just not something that I'm super into. That being said, I mean, it's pretty neat. I like that Green Arrow's got like this inferiority complex to Batman in this series, and so that was pretty fun.
I kind of had that with all of them, to be honest. Like the second one, I felt like the action was kind of winding down to a close, and I look and it was still like 25 more minutes left of movie, and I had that with each one. Like when I first started watching the third one. Again, I'm a wet blanket, and I looked, and it was only an hour and 15 minutes long, and I kind of, like, it did a little fist pump in the air. Like, I think each one drags tremendously with the action scenes.
100% agree. I think that's the biggest problem of these, is I feel like they specifically had the plan in mind that you mentioned at the beginning, where they knew making these is, we're going to have an excess of action footage because we've got the animators on. And if we make them to do a movie, we can pay them, but then we don't have to necessarily pay them again, except for minor like connectivity scenes. We can remove the audio out and we can just put these on YouTube in like however long segments. And we've just got these action pieces. The problem with that is, again, the structure of these films kind of follows the same beat. Is there'll be an initial conflict, there'll be a secondary conflict that really doesn't need to exist. It's only there to lengthen the movie in all three films. Is when there's like a round two in the middle, and then the villains still will end up getting away. And then the final conflict at the third round is these are all used with individual fights between different heroes with like certain set pieces for like different action figure sets or something, to be used as commercials for the toys. And that's why they're so excessively long. And I'm 100% agree. If you wanted to make these better, you cut these down, you could tell the story in half an hour, it'd be better for it.
Yeah, probably. But at the same time, you wouldn't have the moment where Batman uses his giant mech to take off the Green Arrow giant mech's arm and put it on. And I can't lie, it is cool. Even though I was kind of bored with the action by that point, I was like, this is the kind of movie I don't feel bad looking at my phone during, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I came down on these. But to the third movie's credit, even though it was the one that I personally enjoyed the least, I think it's got like some of the smarter writing to it. Again, I like the idea that Damien's a really good detective. Alfie, you mentioned earlier like that he came off more as a Jason Todd type. To me, he came off more like Tim Drake than Red Robin did, which was kind of funny. Because he's got that big detective revelation that no one else is able to come up with about what connects the three villains. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, like, all the villain backstabbingness is a trope that I can never get enough of. So, like, Freeze is ready to betray Penguin because Penguin's ready to betray Freeze, but Freeze isn't ready for Bane and Killer Croc to betray him, and so then they betray Freeze in order for the Penguin to be successful, but the Penguin's not ready for Bane to betray him, and it's just like it's so knotted up and everything, and I get a kick out of that, and I was ready, you're ready for Penguin to betray Mr. Freeze the whole fucking movie, and then you just get that brief moment of like Freeze being ready for it, and that was kind of a cool thing, even though it doesn't really amount to too much.
Right, and I thought that whole like dynamic was very entertaining. Of just like at the start, like picks up is like, all right, so what has the Penguin been doing? Oh, he's been in Mr. Freeze's lair all the time. That's good. So he isn't gonna die in the Arctic waste. But then, weird thing happens. Don't know how you two feel about this, but year alone in the ice. Do you think the Penguin got a little too close to Buzz? He's looking at him a certain way. He's awfully close. And this whole movie, I'm just thinking, he wants to fuck that penguin.
Alfie, it's a movie for children.
I have seen, again, Batman Returns. He wants to fuck everything that moves in that movie. Penguin's got a precedent for being a sleazebag. And right here, you're telling me he's alone in the ice. He's got Buzz only next to him. Mr. Freeze is obviously not responding to his like flirting snark back at him. So he's like, fuck it. I've got the name. I'm going to live up to it. And that's why Buzz is not the same ever since. That's why he's got a mean streak. I'm telling you, man. You fucked the bird.
Okay. Okay. I was just more impressed that the bird fucking drove at one point. Like, did you notice that shit?
Out of security, of course he knows how to drive, Ian. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, what am I thinking? If he didn't know how to drive, that would be ridiculous. Yeah, shit like that. I don't know. It's kind of fun. Bane was kind of the thing that made me think we could probably end up all talking about this, because it seemed like that was the thing that generated the most interest from all three of us when I initially posted the image of Bane from this on Twitter.
Yeah. I like the design. I don't really think they do a whole lot with him other than like, I have muscles.
Yeah, it's very, very surreal going back to this after being so like immersed and reading Tom King's Batman. Going to this Bane again, like 2000s Bane, where we're not doing Nightfall again, but we're not quite yet at Tom King, so we're doing the Bane who's in the Arkham games, everything, where he's just there. He's vaguely intelligent, but he's still kind of a mook, and he gets played all the time, and he's just he cannot stop mentioning breaking Batman's back. And I always personally felt like I feel like I was cheated out that we didn't get a scene of giant Bane breaking mech Batman's back. That would have been amazing. They didn't nut up with that, with like the whole like bend him over his knee, but like with a skyscraper. That'd be so cool. But yeah, so like Bane's design in this as well is finally cover his fucking mouth up. That was a point you pointed out to me, like way before I even knew we were doing this. And I was just extremely happy with that. But I still think, again, for some reason they couldn't have just left his mask. They had to put something on it. They were drawing it and like, yeah, okay, we're gonna leave Bane, and then like the hand, like possessed by a demon, is like struggling for the pen. Is like, I need to fuck with his face somehow. So they give him the Dark Knight Rises style mask. I think it works for like a toy and probably looks cool. But like, one of these days, I'll get a Bane in animation in a major role. The Batman Superman movie doesn't count, where he's just got his fucking normal design.
Wait. Bane in animation. He's in the Batman Superman movie? What?
Yeah, Public Enemies for like a second.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah, he lifts Batman up and then like it's the classic thing of like he cuts the cord to the Venom or some shit. Skinny Bane is like the bane of my existence. I hate Skinny Bane where it's like all the venom that gives him the muscles. I hate it. It's so weird how like intrusive that idea is for Bane, you know? Like everything does it. And like even when it's done well, I still hate it. Like in the Batman, it's fucking pointless. They use Bane once, and then there's an episode where they use the Joker and have him steal Bane's equipment. And I'm like, You used Bane once. You've used the Joker 12 billion times. You couldn't give Bane another episode?
It's just one of those things where, like, for some reason, literally only select writers, like Denny O'Neil, like Tom King, have any idea of how to do Bane as a character, whereas the mass populace conception is not quite Batman and Robin Bane, but if they're being honest, it is.
Mm-hmm. He's not saying his name and going, Bane. Bane.
But he'd be more entertaining if he did.
Yeah. Bane's character that's all over the place. But yeah, it's cool to see him here. Yeah, you're right. He's played as, at least he's played as being, you know, somewhat intelligent, though he of course gets kind of roped into the silliness of the plot. But like, I don't know, he's got his own agenda here. He just doesn't have time to act on it. I'll be generous.
I think that's fair. I guess because we kind of mentioned like the Robin thing and Jason Todd, like how I see him as, like, because I feel like because he's such a fuck up in this, it made me think of like a Jason Todd, because he's the one who tries the hardest to make Batman feel like he's relevant. Like Damien's like the opposite. Damien has to be told he's not the shit. Damien thinks he's already better than Batman. So I saw that, but like, what did you guys think of like the rest of like? Because we're not a Bat family, but we've got a cast here. We got Nightwing, we got Green Arrow, we got Flash and Cyborg in some episodes. It's like movie even. How did you feel about like the rotating cast we had?
So I get the feeling that in this world, Green Arrow doesn't actually do anything on his own. He just sits at home with like a police scanner, waiting for like, okay, and Batman was sighted at the bank. It's like, crap, I gotta go. And then he like goes and says, oh, I'm in the neighborhood. And it's like, no, you weren't. You were just waiting to team up with us. Like, he's in, I think he's in all three of these. No, he's not in the second one. But like, he's at both, like you said, he's at the both of the galas that Wayne, you know, the like, hey, you've got a Wayne Enterprises thing. And then Ollie's just like, hey, I'm just here hanging out because I'm rich. And like, I get the feeling he just like hangs out in Gotham waiting to team up with these guys.
Yeah, and like Flash doesn't really have much of a character. He's just the fast one. This does, like, I remember people used to throw shade at the old Justice League show, and be like, oh, it's just Batman and his super friends. You know, they don't do anything. They just wait for Batman to solve all the problems. And I'm like, did you even fucking watch that show? There are whole episodes where Batman isn't even in it. And this kind of is more symptomatic of that. We're like, Batman's really the only one who solves any problems, and if it's not him, it's one of the Robins, you know?
Yeah, I think this would have been, if this was, see, I didn't know that Batman Unlimited was like its own brand until I started watching these on Netflix, and I was like looking stuff up on the Internet Movie Database. I thought it was just these movies. I didn't know about the little shorts and everything, but I think if you were to do like, okay, now we're going to do one that's like Cyborg, Flash, and Nightwing, or we're going to do, you know, Green Arrow, Black Canary, and The Question. You know, if we were going to do some different team-ups that don't involve the Bat family or barely connect to the Bat family, I think that could be interesting. But as is, watching this, like when Green Arrow shows up in the first one, I was really confused. I was like, why is he here? Like, you could just, there's enough members of the Bat family, you could just do a Batman movie without Flash or Green Arrow or Cyborg. And so I thought that was really odd, especially since of the three of them, I don't really think any of them get much to do.
Yeah, no, really, they are just there because they sell the toy. You know, that's the thing, is they don't have any real role in the story. Like, even in the third movie, the Flash is literally a gopher. Mm-hmm. He's literally running around the world grabbing parts for them to defeat Lava Face, which was that was cool. I liked it. And so that is a problem. if we're gonna get into more like direct complaints, I don't want to like come off that I love these things. I'm a little annoyed that Wonder Woman has some really great rogues, and instead of using them in a goddamn Wonder Woman animated anything, they just appear in like general DC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like Cheetah being here, why isn't Wonder Woman here? Why is it Flash? Cheetah's not a Flash villain. I get why you might want to make her one, but she's not. Giganta was like just a general DC villain in Justice League, and you know she's a Wonder Woman villain. Use her there. It's kind of just a nitpicky thing I have as a Wonder Woman fan that bothers me when I see it. Like I still like it. I still think that's a fun idea. Stick Cheetah with Killer Croc and Man Bat and stuff. I probably should have just been Gorilla Grodd instead of Silverback, but whatever.
I looked him up. Apparently, he is a Blue Beetle villain from the New 52. He's been in like 3 comics.
That's
okay.
I still don't know anything about him, and I don't know why. Hey, there's this robot gorilla who appeared exactly 3 times. Let's have him be in this Batman movie.
Well, I mean, this is like New 50... You said New 52. The show started in like 2014, 2015, and the movies are 2016. So I guess he was new at the time.
Yeah.
Or newer at the time. Yeah, you're right. It's a poor choice. Gorilla Grodd would have been a better fit. It doesn't help that they mention Grodd, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of the bigger problem there is they straight like directly name drop Grodd, which just invites the comparison, and he is the poor man's Gorilla Grodd.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking, so does anyone here actually like Nightwing in these? Because I thought he was a gigantic jerk.
Thank you. This is my biggest fucking problem as a Dick Grayson apologist is what is up his fantastic ass in this movie. Like, seriously, they write him as such a... Do you know how, like, wrong it is for when in a movie where, like, the one who's less sociable than Batman is Nightwing, and he's the emo brooding fucker who's, like, bullying the Flash for no reason, it made my heart sink when, like, they're like, do you want to talk to anyone about your worries, Damien? And he's like, what, Nightwing? And I was like, no, he's your big brother, you love him.
Yeah,
no hate, but no. It just hurts, man. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. You just hit every nail on the head that I was gonna want to mention, because like, for no reason at all, he's a complete jackass to Flash, and then like at the end of the first one, it's kind of like, hey, we're cool. And then in this one, in the third one, Flash is like, hey, I don't know if you've been getting my texts. And Dick is like, yeah, I've been getting them. I just didn't answer. Like, what? Why? And then at the end, he's like, he said something mean to Flash. Oh, yeah. He said, I'm not your friend. And Flash is like, oh, you're a kidder. And then he leaves. And I was thinking, no, this is like a toxic friendship, Flash. You need to get out of that now.
Yeah, I want like the Teen Titans movie set in this universe where we reveal that the Flash has been Wally this whole time, and like he ended up with Corey or some shit, and Dick's all salty about it. There you go, headcanon.
He definitely acts like Wally, so I just assumed it was him.
I mean, even if it's not, Barry has just become Wally, and that's why we can't have Wally in the comics anymore, is because it's just, oh yeah, this is just Barry's personality now.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing. Yeah, so there's, like, I really don't want to paint the picture that just because it's refreshing and it's fun and it's silly, that it's somehow great and flawless. No, it's definitely got problems. I pretty much agree with everything you guys have said about it. The Dick Grayson stuff didn't bother me as much because I don't feel he has much of a character here. They're just kind of trying to... He's the cool guy. It's whatever. I like his frickin' Elvis pompadour look, though. I got a little sad when they cut it back.
Everyone's got that. Commissioner Gordon's got that.
It's 2015. Everyone has to have that.
It's like he's got like Commissioner Gordon in this. For some reason, he looks so like just anime-esque badass. He's got his collar popped up, but it's like ridiculously huge, like it's like a Mr. Miracle height. And then like his sideburns are still grey, but his like hair's like completely like spiked up in the exact same way as Nightwing, where it's like popped up at the front. And he just looks like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you go through a midlife crisis or something, Gordon. Just because every other character in this show has ridiculous hair, you don't have to walk in and compensate. You're a 50-year-old man.
Hey, if you had hair like that in your 50s, you'd wear it that way.
That's true. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Funny enough, they made a Batman Unlimited video game, and they had Batgirl in that, and they used the character design from the beginning of Rebirth, which was kind of cool.
That's one thing I noticed in this as well. Is I probably know the reason for it as well, but not a lot of girls in this.
Yeah, unless they're bad girls, because women can't be trusted. You gotta instill that when they're young. Yeah, you're right. Does it make it better or worse that we get the Joker in drag, though?
I think that's... No, you know what makes it the truly best thing for representation? Is the Joker kisses Solomon Grundy, the Joker pulls back, and we just get a minute pan of Grundy slowly blushing. And I'm just like, Grundy, bless your sweet heart, you're conflicted, you don't understand your feelings. It's time to come. I want that. I just want this issue now of where freaking, like the Bendis, like, Iceman, Bobby, you're gay. I just want it with Solomon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, came out on a Tuesday. That'd be pretty good. Yeah.
Speaking of Grundy, I agree with you, Alfie. I think I absolutely love the like where he's like, oh, we mostly just play hide and seek with Grundy. Like he's in charge of the police now because Joker is Emperor of Gotham, and like we just play games all day. And then like at the end when Grundy's being arrested and he says, Gordon, I let you win that game of hide and seek. Like that was legitimately funny. Like most of this I feel like was kind of geared towards children, but that was like a line that kids could enjoy, but also like adults would be laughing at that too, I think.
Yeah, that one was good. I don't know, some of the sillier stuff that, like, of course it's Grundy that wastes all his ammo on all the cops being like, over there! Mm-hmm. I thought that was it was fun. It
also liked, I think my favorite line in this is like, it's like to Freeze in the third one, like, you should get a license, and he's like, I cannot be given a license, for no government holds authority over Dr. Victor Freeze.
Yep, it's total supervillain stuff. I also like the idea of like Freeze as the mad scientist villain. I don't feel like we do that enough with Batman. I think it's a good place to go with him. Like he's always kind of had it a little bit baked into him, but like playing it up a little bit more like outside of just the freezing stuff, I think is a good idea. Like I really like that moment where, you know, it was Penguin and Bane, or was it Clayface? I don't know, it was Penguin and Croc. And they're talking, it's like, will this actually work? And he says, I spent a lot of time with Victor Freeze, but I'm sure of one thing. He's an absolute genius. And just that, yeah, Freeze can kind of figure out anything and mad science the shit out of it. And I kind of like that idea. That's just a cool direction to go with for him, because he's, I don't know, I'm tired of seeing the guy cry about his dead wife.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze is like his biggest problem as a character is you can tell one really good story with him, but then they've all been telling that one really good story with him for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Freeze, Zod. Oh,
General Zod's the worst. Like,
yeah.
With Freeze, at least that one time they did that story in Batman the Animated Series, it was a really good story. But with General Zod, it's just like, okay, we get it. You know, Planet Houston, ha ha ha. Like, I don't know.
I like Superman too. I think it works.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But no, you're right. It is. It's not. It's the same story every time. Occasionally, he's luring Superman into trusting him, but you're right. It's the same story every time. Same as Mr. Freeze. I'm trying to think of other villains. Oh, Reverse Flash. Same fucking story every time. Who else?
Venom kind of had that problem.
Yeah, Venom. That's fair. That's all over comics where there's just only one place to really go with the character, and they don't have legs. And so this, I don't know, that's an approach with Mr. Freeze that I kind of like. And to be fair, though there was only the one story, no one ran with the proposed where this character goes from Batman the Animated Series or his New Batman Adventures, where like his wife, he was able to save his wife, and then she left him because he turned into a monster, and then so he just hated the whole world. And I was like, yeah, do that. Because in that episode, he's like, he looks at this dude's painting and he's like, brilliant, the work, flawless, the technique, immaculate. How long did it take you to perfect? A year, 10 years, a lifetime? No, please, I'm too old. I could never paint another. Pity. Fuck your shit.
Imagine if he said just fuck.
Yeah, it was just exactly what that did. It was a really good direction with Mr. Freeze. No one ran with it. This is another decent enough direction with Mr. Freeze. No one's gonna run with it, but I liked it. It was fun.
I also, while we're talking about things that I thought were kind of funny, I like I think it's the second one, when the kid early in the movie, he wants a selfie with Batman, and then at the end of the movie, he wants a selfie with Killer Croc and Clayface, and they're both just like, yeah, let's do it. And like Clayface and Killer Croc are both smiling. I was just like, that is so pure. Like, I love that they're going to Gotham, or they're going to Arkham, but it's like, yeah, let's get in the selfie real quick.
I just can't believe like the police let them stop to do it. You
Yeah,
know?
Well, they were all tuckered out from playing hide and go seek with Grundy.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I appreciate like when you do a film of this tone, you can kind of do the thing which like modern superhero comics can't anymore, because we've made every single supervillain mass murderers. Is you can kind of just like enjoy the villains having fun and just kind of being like 60s Batman, like the Adam West show, where they're just not really criminals in the psychopath sense. More so, they're like they're doing it because it's a craft. They're doing it because they're having fun with it. They're not necessarily out to murder or maim or kill. Is like Clayface in particular I like in this, where he's just like, he's putting on a show so much that when he gets put away, he's like, good night Gotham. Is like, that was his act. Is like, I like that. Is I like, it's refreshing, is like you said, Ian, is when you get to have the villains not be so depressing to watch, or just like, oh, they're reprehensibly evil, you can't really enjoy their gimmicks. Is a lot of the times you can have like someone like Solomon Grundy, is he may be hurting people, but he's not killing anyone, he's just kind of a goof that needs to be put away or something. I think that approach kind of does a lot to maybe make superheroes feel like they're not necessarily entirely bad for like letting the villains like escape constantly, because it's more of an adventure than like a world-ending mass crime.
Well, like it used to work so well that they weren't breaking out of prison every week. It used to be like sometimes they were just paroled or whatever, because whatever crime they were committing was like, yeah, you took over the airwaves. Like that was the only real crime you committed, is you unlawfully broadcast yourself, pay the fine. It's like, Gotham, if I don't receive $10 million or Batman solves my riddle, then I'll blow up the city. You didn't actually show any bombs anywhere. You just made a vague threat. So it's like, yeah, you probably wouldn't go to jail for very long for that one in all realistic sense. So it's just, yeah, it was fine. That kind of stuff. Yeah, that got crazy. Because you'd have to be insane to live in Gotham in this day and age in the comics, right? Like, Joker gasses the city every other week.
My headcanon was always like, because, I mean, you look into comics, like, there was an earthquake, there was a plague, there was a gang war. Like, my headcanon is rent is crazy cheap. Like, $10 a month cheap. Like, it has to be. That's the only reason anyone would live there.
My headcanon is that you have to have a photo ID to buy clown makeup.
There was this webcomic I read once where the city planner was talking to Gordon, and he was like, we're gonna have a haberdashery right over here, and he's like, but what about the Mad Hatter? That's gonna attract him. He's like, don't worry about that. And then right next door, we're gonna have these bird statues for sale. And he said, but the penguin. And he's like, and then next door to that, cat statues. And Gordon shoots the guy, and Batman is like, Jim, what have you done? He said, I'm saving the city.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just like, if Bruce Wayne really wanted to stop the Joker, he would personally buy and demolish any, defunct amusement park or toy factory.
Why is Ace Chemicals still standing?
Yeah,
it's only been used for evil.
Wait, is it still standing?
It's always somewhere.
I haven't read any. I've always, like in Killing Joke, I knew it was like there in the flashbacks. I didn't know it was still a thing.
It's around sometimes. Sometimes it's been abandoned and yada 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 yada.
Gotcha.
It's the abandoned chemical factory where they just left all the chemicals hot and bubbling.
These might come in handy later. Let's just leave these chemicals.
Let's
here.
throw Harley Quinn in here because that was a good idea.
Apparently we didn't change the VAT. No one emptied that shit.
I mean, if the Joker's born in it, you might as well keep it around. That might come in handy.
Yeah.
He's functionally immortal, so maybe it had something to do with that.
Yep.
Anyway. What else can we talk about with these in particular?
Another... it's going to sound like I'm complaining. I'm really not. Like, this is like... air quotes nitpicks that I thought were legitimately funny. I love how in the first one, Penguin has a monocle that lets him, like, it's basically like an Iron Man costume. Like, he can zoom in, he can listen with his monocle from across the room, and he's in the same room where Bruce and Ollie, like, lean in and they're whispering, like, hey, how's that superhero thing going? And, like, at no point does Penguin say, holy crap, Bruce Wayne is Batman. Or better yet, if he came to the conclusion that Oliver Queen was Batman or something like that. Like, and then in the next one, they do the same thing, and Victor is in the room, and I don't know if Victor actually knows their secret identities or not, but I think it would have been really great if he did the same thing, where he hears them from across the room.
Yeah. In the first movie, I really like the moment where Ollie has just incredible aim, even with just flicking something. I thought that was kind of a fun idea. I'm rewatching through Batman Brave and the Bold, and they did an episode where it's like Batman and Green Arrow's first encounter, and Batman loads himself into a catapult, and he's like, I hope you're as good a marksman as they say. And Green Arrow's like, I'm better. I'm like, you're firing a goddamn catapult. How much does aim really factor into it? Oh, shit. It's too much. Like, if it were a giant crossbow or something, that'd be one thing. But it's a goddamn catapult. You just launch it and hope, right? Yeah, so I don't know. The stuff in here, it's hit and miss. But again, I haven't said much of substance throughout these things. It's just kind of fun movies to talk about and get a kick out of. again, I just find it refreshing. Just something fun and kind of dumb, guilty pleasure level fun is what I had with this one.
Right.
Did anyone have anything else before we go into ratings?
I guess I'll just ask you if you would. Are there any, if hypothetically they ever did like a fourth one, are there any characters you would like to see in this kind of like futuristic / Silver Age style?
It's funny that they're using Flash in these because I want a Clayface, Tar Pit, and what's his name, Plasmius from Teen Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to team up because they're all got that like shape-shifting muck monster kind of thing going for them, and I think that could be fun as a team-up kind of thing. So you could have, that could be your movie that focuses more on Dick Grayson and kind of gets into Wally West too, since you'd have Tar Pit as a villain. So I don't know, that could be a fun way to do things. Just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Ruben? If you had to pitch Batman Unlimited 4?
Oh, 4. Oh, so it would be in this universe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, like I said, I think it'd be really cool if... I like Batman as much as the next guy, but I think it'd be kind of cool if we could expand this world where it's not necessarily Batman. Like you've already got Cyborg, Nightwing, and Flash. Let's do a Teen Titans type story where Dick Grayson isn't a dick.
Okay.
Or like you mentioned Wonder Woman earlier. I don't know what the Wonder Woman Unlimited would look like. But I'm in the mood to watch Wonder Woman. Or like let's say if we're wanting to keep it kind of cheesy but fun, like I don't know, like Wonder Woman's about to get married, and so she goes on her her last night of freedom with like her, Supergirl, and I don't know, Batgirl. Like that'd be fun to watch, and then like hilarity ensues. Cheetah robs a bank or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could see it. I would love to watch Wonder Woman's bachelorette party. That sounds infinitely entertaining. It's weird to just talk about some of the comics. We made Batman a dad a little over 10 years ago. We made Superman a dad a couple years ago. Am I the only one that kind of has an appetite for Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor to finally pop out a kid?
No, there's kind of a precedent for it. In the pre-Crisis Earth 2 stuff, she had a daughter. I think that it'd be kind of interesting. You mentioned earlier, like Wonder Woman always getting rebooted. Like, we'd have to keep her. We'd have to keep one version of her around without rebooting it again.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about. G. Will Wilson's kind of actually doing an arc right now that's kind of addressing some of Wonder Woman's fears about her relationship with Steve Trevor. And I'm like, I could go for them having a kid. Then we could do a young Trinity kind of thing if we just reverse Bendis. That'd be fun.
It could be interesting if they kind of did what Marvel did with Spider-Woman, is when they did the pregnancy in real time, as it was 9 months of comics, and then you could do a good Wonder Woman story there, which Wonder Woman, she's meant to be the woman experience, is how does she deal with being pregnant and being Wonder Woman? You could do a really good story about that.
Yeah, that'd be a cool idea. So I don't know, just random thought there, but yeah, I'd love more Wonder Woman animated stuff. It drove me crazy. DC always does this where we've got a live action movie coming out, so we're going to release an animated movie that features the character to try to rake in those extra bucks. And when Wonder Woman the movie came out, they just re-released the one from 2009 and made it bloodier, and I was like, really? That's the best you could do?
Yeah,
I guess to be fair, Aquaman didn't even get so much as that. So.
I never did watch the rated R animated Wonder Woman movie, so I take it wasn't really worth the time.
I didn't even bother. What's the point? I've already seen the movie. It's already not a very good Wonder Woman movie.
I agree. I feel like that's a tricky one to dance around, because I think some people are like, how dare you? It's Wonder Woman's only animated movie. You can't say anything bad. But I'm like, it's not good. Sorry.
It's got its moments. It's got some things I like about it.
It also has the part where that one Amazon was, as she's dying, she says to Hippolyta, "We want to have babies," and she's dying.
See, I actually really like that moment. That is the one where I'll say it's probably one of the better moments in the movie. The where I think the movie gets really stupid is it gets into the, like, not all men kind of thing, and I'm like, oh god, this shit. Mm-hmm. It's like, yay, we have to pat ourselves on the back for being such good feminists by proving the point that not all men. And I'm like, well, then you're not even really paying attention to the message of the character. So, yeah, obviously not all men, but that's not the point. So you're just trying to make yourself feel better at that point. It's stupid. Anyway. Yeah, no, I'd love a Wonder Woman animated anything. Like, it's so bad. I watched all of DC Superhero Girls just because it's got Wonder Woman animated content. It's ridiculous. Okay, ratings. Let's go on and do ratings. Do we want to... I don't feel there's really a need to do a rating for each individual movie. Let's just do a rating for the experience of the trilogy on the whole. Does that sound reasonable to you two?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go first. Again, I really enjoyed these, but I don't think they're perfect or anything. So I'm going to give it just a 3.5 out of 5 B-Rexes.
Okay. I'm going to give it... the first two really didn't work for me. I enjoyed the third one quite a bit more, so I'm going to give it 2... mean and nasty Dick Graysons out of 5.
Okay.
Oh, Ruben, I love it when you give me that mean and nasty dick.
Alfie, this is the only reason you're here is Dick Grayson related puns.
That's why Daddy's here. So I guess, again, I quite enjoyed these more as they went on. If I had to rank it, it would probably be 2, 3, 1. But overall, I thought they were all fine. It very much reminded me of, like, watching the Batman back in the day, because that was very toy-centric, but in a more subtle way as well. But it gave me some of those nostalgia feelings, and I was like, if my little brother was older or something, I'd have him watch this, because I think this is a good show. It's creative, it has some cool ideas, and for what it is, I think, like, again, especially with the voice cast, I feel they do a better job with the voice cast here than they do in the actual made DC animated movies at the moment, which is surprising.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, I think the voice acting is spot on. The guy who plays Batman, and I meant to mention this earlier, his name was something...
Roger Craig Smith.
Yeah. Go look at his Internet Movie Database profile picture. It's one of the most entertaining things. He's got Captain America's shield. It's a black and white picture where it looks like he's dressed up like a pirate, and he's got Batman's mask in his hand. He looks so sad. Sorry, I was looking these actors up when I was watching the movies, and I was like, what is he wearing? He's got like a Sonic mask on.
What?
Because he voiced Sonic as well.
Oh man. Oh, he's in Sonic Boom. Okay.
Yeah, he's the voice of Sonic in Generations Onwards.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
And he voiced Batman in Arkham Origins. Like I'm saying, this guy's a big guy, and so with Troy Baker for the Joker, and there's also the guy who voices Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond is the guy who voices Nightwing in this. There's a lot of pulls here that they aren't using for their actual main movies, which I think is really ironic. But I appreciated that, and that helped carry a lot of the material, I think. So if I had to give it an overall rating, 3.5 Joker announcers in the movie Moguls or something. Yeah, I think that works.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Let's see here. Alfie picked last week, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, you are.
So, Ruben, we need a discussion topic, sir.
Okay, so I was thinking about this earlier today, and I hope we haven't talked about this before. When is it okay to make changes when you are doing an adaptation of an existing story?
Okay, so adapting...
and making changes in adaptations.
Yeah. It's always just about finding that 3 to 4 word summation. You gotta think about the thumbnail. Yeah, but I got you. Okay. No, I don't think we've talked about that. And Geeky Gentleman is getting to a point right now where I'm like, even if we have, my opinions almost certainly have changed. so I don't care if I'm talking about it again, because how many people have been subscribed to me since the beginning, considering that back when Milan was on the show with me, we were in a race to get to 200 subscribers at one point. So really, I do not care if I'm doing a topic again. So don't. It just depends on how recently again, you know.
Right.
It's like if it's like a 4-year-old video, that's different than if we did it like last year.
So like next week, I was thinking we could talk about fear.
Oh, good.
Nice, Gary Ruber.
Alrighty.
I
Okay,
actually did enjoy that one, so.
yeah, cool. So when is it okay to make changes in adaptation? That's actually a bit of a hot topic right now because of all the fan petition-y bullshit right now. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Comics Kid 2099.
And I'm a geek for fun.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.